Hello, we're continuing in John's Gospel in chapter 9, dealing with the blind man who was healed by Jesus by putting mud on his eyes, and we'll read 13 to 17 today, so let's read them from the ESV. They brought to the Pharisees the man who had formerly been blind. Now it was a Sabbath day when Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes, so the Pharisees again asked him how he had received his sight. And he said to them, "He put mud on my eyes, and I washed and I see." Some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a man who is a sinner do such signs?" And there was a division among them. So they said again to the blind man, "What do you say about him, since he opened your eyes?" He said, "He is a prophet." So let's first of all say they brought the man to the Pharisees. Who was they? It just seems to be the people who are about and had seen the miracle occur. So why are they doing this? Well, two possible reasons. One, because the Pharisees had such authority, considered to be the religious authorities, that they brought him to get their view on things, to try and learn what had actually happened. Or it could just be they wanted to keep in with the Pharisees. Since the religious authorities, they had a significant influence over social life in society, that they wanted to keep on the right side of them. They didn't want to get into any trouble. Now the Pharisees, well, they were divided, and for many of them a great concern was the Sabbath. Has Jesus broken the Sabbath and making mud on the Sabbath? That was work. Say he's broken the Sabbath. How can you be a man of God? Now, before we condemn them too readily, we're too ready to condemn them, a couple of things to say in their defence, or to help us understand. The Old Testament does place enormous emphasis on the Sabbath. It's in the Ten Commandments and in a number of places in the prophets. Breaking the Sabbath or having no regard for the Sabbath is treated very seriously. So we need to be a wee bit careful. Also, in Deuteronomy, I think it's chapter 13, it's one of the tests for a false prophet. It says, even if what he says comes true, but he leads people to worship idols rather than God, then this man is not a prophet of God, and you must not follow him. So regardless of what Jesus had done, if he was not urging the people to follow God, then he definitely was an enemy of God and someone not to be followed. Now, as we know, Jesus is quite the opposite. He was actually bringing people to worship the true God in spirit and in truth. But anyway, that's just to help us understand a little of what was going on in the eyes of the Pharisees. And we see here that some of the Pharisees took that, and other ones said, well, there's a miracle happened. How can a man do these things unless he's been sent by God? Unless he's approved by God. It says there was division among them. That there can be people in power, and they're effectively basing their power on lies and what they're doing on lies, as we are here. Many of the Sadducees and Pharisees were not worshipping God. But the truth, they come up against the reality, they come up against the truth. And we see it today. You see it you can think of churches which abandon believing in the Word of God. So we'll follow society, we'll do what society does. These are the churches which are more than any others collapsing. The reality shows that what they're doing is nonsense. And it's like on all the debates about gender. They come up against reality. Now, people can do a lot of harm in the meantime. But eventually the truth catches up with them. The truth and reality eventually exposes lies for what they are. And then they ask the man, now why did they ask him? The Pharisees in particular had no regard for the normal people. They thought they were just thick, didn't know anything of God and couldn't be trusted with anything. Well, maybe it's because the Pharisees were divided, and I don't know. Anyway, they asked him, what does the man say? He says, he is a prophet. Now, obviously, we know Jesus was more than a prophet. But the man's answers are a lot closer to the truth than anything the Pharisees were saying. So, there we have it so far. The debate will continue in the next video. So, thank you.